Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your your midday market report for Monday, July 18th, 2022. The All Star break is here. Welcome. A few days dark as I was wrapping up the Vegas trip. Made it home safely yesterday morning, regrouped, got everything all set and ready to go this morning with our co-host, of course, Riley Magnuson from the Windy City. It was a great trip in Vegas. Special thanks, obviously, to the one and only Mr. Dave Sharapan, who was my chaperone for a few days of that trip. Had some great times out there. Shout out to Julian Edlow as we got to meet up a few times as well. Matt Peralt from the BVB and did a lot of World Series of Poker, watching, marketing, and some good times there. And we had an amazing finale on the weekend here. Hats off, our co-host Riley Magnuson. B2B. He doesn't like to go by Rob. That's his name. And of course, the one and only Dubs Anderson, all of us on Cam Smith pre-flop. We got it circa 19-1. I saw Riley at 28-1. There was some prices all around. It's tough to put 4 rounds together. So after the first 2 days felt great, but Saturday is moving day. You expect the leaderboard to flip, and it did. And the one guy I felt most comfortable with was Cam Smith. There is no better putter on the PGA right now than Cam Smith. As you saw the first 2 days, he struggled obviously on Saturday. But, if you looked going into Sunday at the odds, he was positioned where Vegas said, okay, you're 3-4 shots back, but we see you there. And the fact that Hovland and Rory were playing cat and mouse for the first 3 rounds, it's so much easier to chase than to be hunted. And Cam just sat back while Hovland and Rory played match play. Rory got a 2-shot lead on Hovland, but Cam got that putter going, and the rest was history. But what did I really, really take? Cam Young, what a tournament. I mean, even going to 18 when he sinks the eagle putt, and then I'm like, oh my God, how many times do you see him make that putt? And then Cam Smith standing over about a 4-footer that now turns into about a 10-footer, and you missed that one. Heart goes out to Rory. If anyone was positioned to take it home, especially right there, it's been 2013 and 14 since he's won a major. Crushing defeat there. He holed out on 18 at Augusta from the bunker. And as I'm sitting there ready to just jump for joy, I just had flashbacks, and I'm like, no way is he chipping this in. And so once that blew by the hole, I could breathe a sigh of relief. But we're here. We're back. I don't have scheduled shows, dates, confirmations yet for the rest of the week. Still waiting to figure out what we're going to do there with the All-Star break. But let's bring him in. Let's get a feel for how he's doing, the one and only Mr. Riley Magnuson. Morning, sir.
Morning, my friend. Happy Monday. Glad to see you back in your home environment. A hell of a weekend for all of us. The Open Championship was definitely an enjoyable event. I mean, a classic event as far as entertainment and excitement value. But the gambling value was there for sure. Really nice weekend. The only bone to pick I have is a guy who's probably potentially delivered me the most money that any individual golfer this year, Matt Fitzpatrick. 3 bogeys, 15, 16, 17 to fall out of that, especially if you had top 20. I feel for you. I had top 10. If he had, managed to grind those out and make par, he would have stayed in the top 10. So that's my only bone to pick as far as the grinder himself. So Cam Smith, I know people are waiting on pins and needles as far as some of these LIV potential defections now that the 4th major is open or passed. Cam Smith, one of these guys that might be on the way over. So I'd be sad to see him go. He was nothing like a hot putter on Sunday. The guy was absolutely fantastic with that thing, which Rory just couldn't match by any means. So yeah, it was tough to see Rory go out like that. Found some value on Rory earlier in the tournament in round one. So, hell of an event. Hopefully, we've got some more solid golf the next couple of months before we finish up the season, and hopefully don't lose half the top names in the PGA Tour to the other tour over there. So, interesting week we've got ourselves coming up here. Home Run Derby tonight, All Star game tomorrow. I know some people like to stay away from it for good. Home Run Derby, a little entertainment action, but I always like to find some value on the All Star game itself. So I'm excited for that. And then always a nice week to kind of take a break, look ahead at the rest of the MLB season, maybe get a chance to talk some NFL and college football coming up. So one of my low-key favorite weeks of the year as far as conversations go. So I'm ready to talk about whatever we want to talk about today, my friend.
In my one and done contest, I think there was like 4,400 people that started. I think I was at 4,200 for the longest time. Chipped away, and then I popped Justin Thomas a few weeks ago, got up to 1,200. Had Fleetwood last week, so we moved up to about 11 or about 1,000, and popped Cam Smith. Cam Smith was my one and done, so we're in the top 400 as we speak, moving forward there. I haven't seen any numbers, and especially coming off a win like he had. Has there been any numbers floated around if he did jump over to the live, what they would be offering him?
The number I saw, and it was just briefly, I don't know how credible it was. It was 90 million was the number I saw, though. So close to nine figures.
I thought it would be more, to be honest with you, but
yeah, so did I. I not to keep going on it, but I actually saw Charles Barkley had a comment. I'm drawing a blank on what show it was. As far as like, if someone offered me 200 million to kill my relative, I would do it. And then the next comment below that was, now Charles Barkley is speaking to the LIV on a potential partnership. So yeah, funny how that works. If anyone is speaking nicely about them, they seem to open up their checkbook pretty quickly. So. We'll see how that goes, but yeah, interested to see if that's what progresses there on the entertainment side of things.
That would be a big hit for the PGA because of the fact that I think with the win, Cam Smith moved up to number 2 in the world. I thought I heard.
I didn't hear that, but that sounds right. Yeah.
So, if there's not going to be any repercussions other than the true PGA people that are sticking and staying. You can still play in all the majors. You can still. Cam is so young. It would be a big blow, I think, for the PGA if he jumps ship.
No, he is, and he is up to number 2 now. I'm looking right now, and yeah, one of the things that I've felt confident with the PGA, and as long as there's not any other big hits, if he does go, is a lot of those guys that are in the top 10, 15 that are 25 to 35, and speaking highly about the tour, right? As far as I'm looking at it right now, as far as Scotty Scheffler, Rory, obviously, JT, Spieth, so as long as those guys are there, then it's going to have that nice honestly, curb appeal for sure, but then obviously, the talent as well. But yeah, if Cam Smith goes, then that might be a big domino as far as guys following him, especially maybe some of the other guys that I didn't just name that are kind of coming up right now. So I hope not, because the PGA Tour has been fantastic lately. So Cam Smith would be the undoubtedly best golfer, or at least hottest golfer on that tour right now. So and that would probably draw some eyes as far as his popularity is growing. So yeah, that would be a big one for them and a tough one for the PGA for sure.
It was the first tournament that I actually played some of the live golfers. We had some pre-flops with DJ. We had some pre-flops with DeChambeau, who had a great Sunday. Yeah. At Beating the Book, Rob had some top 20s. I think he had DeChambeau at plus 395. We had DJ at plus like 160 or 190 it was. Again, at one point, we had 1, 5, 6, 8, and 10 pre-flop here at ECSI. And so, again, our eyes were spot on. It was our 12th pre-flop winner in the last 2.5 years. So, the pandemic got us into the golf.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't be happier moving forward. The Live Tour obviously is here to stay, and it will be interesting. It's one of these things that when you think about it, it's us guys like, walking into the locker room, and you walk to your locker, and there's two of the veterans on the side going, and then,
Yeah.
I know it's a lot of money, but when if you're looking at the Live Tour, the guys that have jumped ship are guys that have, I don't want to say their career is on the back nine, but they've made their money on the PGA. They're grabbing the bag, and they're moving on. Someone like Bryson, who's still young, but I think he's had a lot of personal stuff going on. He's had some injuries, so he grabs the bag. But Cam Smith would be one that would be the true eye opener.
No, 100%. I mean, yeah, like you said, it's either guys on the back nine of their career. I would put DJ in that category, but obviously, as we saw this weekend, still a lot left in the tank as far as he is concerned. And then after that, yeah, Bryson is the other guy that maybe, probably isn't on the back nine, but like you said, he's just not well liked in America on this tour, at least from the broad perspective. And I think he's probably got to a point where he kind of realizes that. Same thing, kind of questionable whether it's back nine or not, but Patrick Reed is in that same conversation. The guy that I'm we haven't seen too much from the last week or so. The guy that I am just kind of sick of seeing, and I don't know why he's being shoved down our throats so much, is Pat Perez, a guy that really isn't that successful on the PGA Tour, at least over the last decade or so, on a consistency basis. But they're paying that guy to be front and center a little too much for my interest, and I'm just sick of the guy as far as I'm concerned. So I know there's probably a handful of others that I'm blanking on that maybe have been kind of in a lull the last few years, that maybe if they can recapture something, could put something together. But for the most part, there's really no. I don't have anybody on that tour that I'm really drawn to on a a must-see, go out of my way, watch right now type basis, at least at this point. But Cam Smith might be one that would turn that tide for sure.
All Star break. It's funny how weeks change. At ECSI last week, we had 3 games, 3 different parlays with outright wins, run lines, and all 3 came running to the window. Friday, we go 3-1. Had an amazing day there. Saturday, 0-1 with the Rays. And then yesterday, again, we put our 3-team parlay together, and we got rained out on the Guardians game. So we threw in the Astros. And again, I clearly state, do not single. This is an action parlay. Yeah. We got Cam Smith on the lid. We got a 19-1 and potentially could come home. Just have some fun the last day before the break. 0-3, Brewers lose, Astros lose, and our third one lost as well. Drawing a blank here.
I was staying away from baseball yesterday, not only with the golf tournament going on, but just last day beforehand. And the White Sox had a huge game, so I was going to be happy if they got the win, which they did. Obviously, a big one there. So this past week, though, it's been one of my more successful weeks on the MLB this season. Dating back to the first month, as far as going not only team totals, but the plus money, as you've been, championing over the last couple of weeks. It was pretty successful for me this past week as far as, first 5 team totals at plus money as well. So definitely some angles that, as far as just value, are definitely starting to work out. And hopefully we get the same type of luck coming in next week once we get back into it.
Yeah, and that's the key. Everyone watching and listening here, we thank you. You start the season one way. It's a grind. It's a 162-game marathon, and as we speak, you got to change. It's like that 7-course meal that you're adding ingredients, taking out ingredients that never ends. And the last 2 to 3 weeks, maybe even a little further, we've switched up to the team totals on the plus money. Yes, I talk about it's easy to run to the window. Minus, over 3.5 minus 150. We're not those guys. There's a lot of guys on social media, gambling, Twitter, that aren't afraid to lay 150s, 160s, 170s, 180s, yada, yada, yada. Here, what I said is, if you did 2 team totals with plus money, if you split, you're still grabbing, 10, 15, 20 cents per unit. But when you're on the plus side of a 2-0, 3-0 at plus 120, plus 130, 135, it adds up pretty quick.
Yeah, and then you throw in, kind of as we've mentioned, sometimes you have the side where you think this offense is going to be, perform really nicely against this team, but then, you kind of lose sight of or don't factor in the opposite side. I mean, maybe your team puts up 7 runs, but then your your pitcher that you need to back also gives up 8. So, these first 5 team totals, especially, have been a godsend these last couple of weeks as far as finding some pitchers that I love fading. And has come to fruition over the last couple of weeks, and they're still giving them at plus money. So, interested to see if the market changes as far as the pricing on those in the second half for sure, though. On mostly DraftKings is where I've been seeing those first 5 totals. FanDuel doesn't really do much of it at all.
First half over, already at the halfway point. Moving into the second half. Well, actually, let's back it up to the close of the first half. Seattle Mariners. I mean, the Orioles were on a heater, and the Mariners matched them, and they still kept on going.
Yeah.
Thoughts moving forward for the second half? Any teams, again, every day is a different day, but any teams that you see maybe with a potential that, could have a big second half? Any teams that you're going to start to see sliding and fading? I mean, we'll have the trade deadline coming up. What are your thoughts moving forward to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah, as far as the Orioles team, they have one of, if not the toughest schedules remaining in baseball, and obviously play in the American League East, which obviously fuels part of that toughest schedule in baseball. So I don't know if that magic is going to continue too much here outside of the All-Star break, and you have to imagine they're probably not going to be buyers at the trade deadline. Whether or not they'll be sellers, I'm not sure, but you have to imagine they're probably not going to add too much to that team. Another team that I like that's got one of the easier schedules left in baseball, I think ended up just a half game behind the Brewers in the NL Central. Like I said, one of the easiest schedules in baseball is the Cardinals. And I believe you can still catch them at plus money to win that division. Not only that, but they also, and the Brewers got one of the easier schedules in baseball as well. But I kind of trust this Cardinals team to make a move or two that's really going to help them at the trade deadline and improve their team, both on the field and on paper. So that's one team that is kind of in that second tier of major league teams that we see as far as the Astros, Yankees, Dodgers being in that upper echelon. Maybe you throw in the Braves and Mets. And then, the Cardinals are one of those teams that are in that next crop that if they make the right move or two, I don't know if they could be a true World Series contender, but I think might be more valuable with them, the pricing on a lot of these options. So that's one team that I'm looking for, and obviously they're going to have a tough race with the Brewers there in the NL Central, and maybe whoever doesn't win that division is going to be right in the heart of the NL wildcard race. So whether or not both those two teams make the playoffs, I don't know, but I'm looking at the Cardinals as being one of those teams that can really make some waves and jump into that conversation, and let alone, I saw them rumored as one of the teams that are interested in Juan Soto. I don't know how realistic that is necessarily, but one way or another, I see them making some moves and, having a really nice second half of the season with Arenado and Goldschmidt at the helm.
And my Red Sox, and we talked about it last week. We talked about it the week before. The Chris Sale project is just
oh my gosh,
comical. And you know what? I don't want to hear bad luck. It's called a bad contract. I talked about it last week. He had a good first start, and then of course now gets the line shot back at him, breaks his fingers, hands, whatever it is. Thanks for playing. I know they're not going to. I'll tell you, my Red Sox team, I don't have any faith in the second half. I think they did it with smoke and mirrors. And as you can see, Pavetta's leaking a lot of oil. Now Sale will be gone again. Eovaldi will be back. Whitlock is back. But I have talked about this at length. If you're not going to re-sign Bogarts, you already know if you are or you're not. So they had talked about the Cardinals. Was hot and heavy for Bogarts. I said JD is another one that's walking. I know they won't be sellers. They're going to sell you on that we can piece this thing together. But I have zero faith in the Red Sox, and I really wish they would become sellers in this market. I can't see it happening.
I think I'm with you, and you know, you obviously, and then you know, the only thing to factor in that you didn't mention is just how you obviously have the Yankees that you're not going to match them as far as the division race, but then you've got three other teams. You can pencil in four if you want. I obviously talked about the Orioles as going to be one of the teams I think are going to fade back into the Magic kind of end, but you got four teams that are at least 500, beyond the Yankees, including the Red Sox that you have to battle with. So. And then you have to factor in, obviously, if the White Sox come up, you're going to have at least a couple teams in the AL Central fighting for the wild card. So, that wild card, is it really worth, the Red Sox and a couple other these teams are going to have to ask, is it really worth, if you're selling some of these, assets that we had to move up? And then, obviously, like you're saying, if that's not the case, then maybe you should consider being sellers. And so I kind of agree with you there. Any of those other two teams, as far as the AL East, or I should say any of these other three teams that you think are going to improve on their record, or kind of go the opposite way, kind of the same way you're talking about the Red Sox?
I definitely think Toronto fires the manager, and they're all in anyways. I expect a few big moves. They grabbed Berrios last year at the deadline. I expect them to add Tampa Bay. They're going to get Franco back. They're getting healthier. They have the arms. I think they're going to have a good second half. I agree with you. It was a hell of a run by the Orioles. We call them the pesky Orioles for a reason. I think, they'll float around 500 in the second half, and I just think the Sox will flounder. You brought up the rest of the American League. I think the White Sox have a run in them. Does Minnesota come back to the pack? Cleveland, pesky, hanging around. Out west, the Mariners are on fire, and then obviously the Astros aren't going anywhere. And so I think it's too big of a hill to climb for the Red Sox. They don't have the front end staff. They've been putting it together with smoke and mirrors, the Rich Hills of the world, the Michael Walkers of the world. I don't know if they got James Paxton on the roster. I don't know if he's coming back. And now the blow with Sale, I think, is just the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, and these teams are getting smarter as far as if this was 15 years ago, you might have some. I mean, this trade deadline might be absolutely bonkers as far as the Red Sox and Mariners and Cleveland and the White Sox all being buyers. But over the last 15, 20 years, or over this, last 10 years, a lot of these teams are seeing, if we're not going to make a move that is just going to make us a little bit better for the meantime, when it's not going to, when we, if we don't think this is going to pay off for the World Series, why are we making this small little improvements only for it to hurt our future in over the next 2-3 years? And so that's why I think you're seeing some of the stagnancy from a lot of these teams right now, is because they know, there's not that many moves that we can make that's going to make us a bona fide better team, whether it's good enough this year or, a move that's not going to hurt our future over the next 3 to 5 years. So that goes with a lot of these sports these days. But these front offices are just getting smarter. So I'm interested to see how many actual moves these contending wild card teams are going to make, because I imagine there's going to be a couple of them. But compared to 15 years ago, not all these teams are going to be making moves. And like you said, a couple of them might be sellers that might surprise people, but are probably moves that they feel are going to help them more so in the future, as opposed to this year, where they might not feel like they can win a World Series. You know what I mean? So interested to see how these next couple of weeks plays out with that deadline.
Yeah, and for the Red Sox, Eovaldi is the other one that would be leaving. So you have Eovaldi, you have JD, and you have Bogarts, and you could fill up your minor league system till the cows come home. I mean, a team like the Mets, for instance, that might need another bat would love JD. Some of those teams, any team that needs another arm would love Eovaldi, especially if you look at his resume in the playoffs and the World Series. And then again, the sticking point again, the Red Sox through the grapevine, we're really concentrating on Devers. Ortiz comes out and says to the Red Sox guys, you got to sign Devers and Bogarts. Well, Bogarts is banged up and his numbers are awful. I think he's got 7 homers this year. He's just trying to fight through this. But if you're not going to sign him, and the Sox are going to hold the key, because they're going to say, hey, Xander, look at your numbers last year. You're not worthy of $30 million per, you can go test the market, teams are going to line up for it. And the Sox are right. They don't want to go over the luxury tax. They're building the farm system. They were within 2 games of the World Series last year. It's kind of one of those, hey, we had a great run last year. We're not pushing all in this year. We'll be ready next year.
Right. And I think a lot of these fan bases just want their front offices to just be a little more honest. Like if they, at the north side over here in the Windy City, Cubs fans are, Wilson Contreras, the vibe is that he's going to be traded. But these Cubs fans, along with obviously a different season right now, but the vibes are kind of similar as far as obviously the Cubs just got rid of a lot of their star players, but now Wilson Contreras is the next one up. Where it's just be honest with us. If you're telling us that we're going to be doing this giant rebuild or just trying to gain all these assets, then just tell us, as opposed to kind of smoke and mirrors. Oh, we're going to be spenders in the offseason. Don't worry, we're going to piece it together. Don't worry. And then just when you're least expecting it on a random afternoon, your favorite player gets traded, and that's what drives people the most crazy. So it's going to be interesting, man. The AL wildcard race obviously a little bit more heated than the NL. NL's got about 6-7 teams that are kind of out of it. So going to be interesting. Going to be interesting to see which of these teams are huge sellers, which of these teams are baby sellers. But as far as Juan Soto is concerned, are you of the belief that he's getting traded, or do you think they're going to figure something out in Washington there?
I think he's making it pretty clear that he doesn't want to stay in Washington. It reminds me of the Mookie Betts thing where after Mookie was traded, the Red Sox came out and says, we offered him the money that he wanted. He just didn't want to stay. Some people want to test the market. If I was in trying to get Juan Soto, I'm not giving him a 15-year deal. He can go pound sand. But I can match. Listen, I'll give you 10 for 400. If you want the 40 million a year, that's fine. I don't need to see you, when you're 36, 37, 38, 39. I'll take the 10 years in your prime and go that route. So what number do you want on a yearly basis? Is it 40? Is it 38? And then I would work from tens. So it's just the package to trade him. No one's going to be able to offer Herschel Walker deals. So he doesn't want to stay in Washington. Then I think you got to find a way to make it happen, at least get something back for him like we did with Mookie Betts.
Right. And there will be a little bit of a bidding more, but as you're saying, there will probably be a threshold that teams aren't willing to go past. So, I'm interested to see. It could change the landscape of, this offseason, or not this offseason, for the second half of the season for sure. So, as far as the White Sox aren't, heavily rumored by any means, but, White Sox fans, obviously, anytime anyone's speculated, they try to throw in their personal offers as well. So any gun to your head teams that you think he could go to, as far as if you had to just gun to your head, who's he going to?
I mean, the first name that always pops up in my head is the Yankees. I mean, just imagine him in that right field porch. That would be so stupid.
Yeah, no, that would be ridiculous. That would be basically them getting back to being the unapologetic, just hoarding as many people as they can. So I'll say Cardinals, though. I'll go Cardinals get aggressive. I'll say Cardinals. That's my prediction.
Wow. All right, I'll stick to the Yankees. That's going to be one of the chalks.
Probably a good value bet there, yeah.
Home run derby. Wasn't on Alonso year one. We had him in year two. Obviously in there to try to be for the three-peat, the clear-cut favorite. I saw plus 200, I think it was, on him. The next favorite is Schwarber, and then you got all the value pieces. I'm going to throw it over to you. Any beer and pizza money, anything that you're looking at for tonight?
The transition is well constructed in this case, because I am interested in Juan Soto tonight. As far as the buzz is around him, and not only is the buzz around him, but I think it was last year, put up a decent performance, just ran into Pete Alonso, and so I don't know if I'm taking him to win, Jeff. But on a certain app you can get Pete Alonso to make Juan Soto to make the final at plus 185, and like I said, he wouldn't run into Pete Alonso until the final, so. At plus money, if you're, I believe, let me double check his matchup here for sure. I know it's he would face the winner of Pujols and whoever Pujols is facing, which I'm drawing a blank on again. But Juan Soto was one that I think could go toe to toe with anyone not named Pete Alonso. Because just watching Pete Alonso, I don't know, as long as he's locked in, it doesn't seem like anyone is in this field can really beat him. So I like Juan Soto to make the final in this one at plus 185.
I love the thought process, and first year, shame on me. Second year, I said, I'm not getting the banana in the tailpipe. It comes down to endurance. It comes down to rhythm. And for some reason, Alonso's got it. He just knows.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see Schwarber grasping for an oxygen tank, at some point. I like the guy, but for some, it's like Alonso is trained and built to win and compete in this.
Yeah. If you're, and that's I just finally found the bracket. It's Juan Soto versus Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez is one of the best hitters in baseball, but I don't think he's going to be going too hard as far as the home run derby is concerned. It'll be Schwarber and Pujols on that side of the bracket, which it would be awesome if Pujols went on a nice run. That would be as far as entertainment, that would be amazing. But Schwarber, Schwarber, like you said, I think Schwarber will go a little too hard in that first round, and then you'll have Soto and Schwarber in that round too, and I'll take Soto in that one, a little endurance battle. So as far as the other bracket, it's Pete Alonso versus Acuna, which I'll give that to to Alonso all day. Seager and Rodriguez, I don't know what to expect out of that one. Maybe maybe one of them puts on a show, one of them doesn't. But I'll take Soto and Pete Alonso in the final. So one of these guys, though, like you said, I think Schwarber is the candidate. One of these guys that are in that top three, Alonso, Schwarber, and Soto, one of those guys is going to put up a dud, and I think it's going to be Schwarber at some point, like we're talking right now.
I agree there. I'm going to try to see here. I'm going to just throw this out as a soft lob because we're going to start to get into a lot more football as we progress. When I was in Vegas, I got some of the paperwork at Circa for some stuff. I talked about my 3-team champion parlay at 100 gets you 11,000, which we'll talk about all the way. Hopefully the Astros can start us off on the right foot. But NFL, as we gather up in the middle of July, one of the topics of conversation at dinner was Deshaun Watson, and Matt Peralt is in the camp that he will be playing a lot sooner than later. A Cleveland writer said he's going to get a 6-game suspension, drop down to 4. The Browns under-over hasn't moved. It's a 9.5. I think this would be a huge stain in the NFL if this clown comes in and, plays. They were trying to get a year suspension. So if I'm reading this correctly, I think they're going to offer the year suspension. Maybe it goes down to 10 games. Give me your thoughts on what you think is going to happen here with Watson.
Yeah, I don't know that I can add too much. I think it's just when every situation becomes every situation, but when you compare it to some of the other suspensions over the last decade, that's when it really is like, okay, so Tom Brady gets 4 games for deflating footballs, but these guys who are abusing women are getting 4 to 6 games, or even twice that amount. That's where I have issue with. So I think he should be got for the entire season. If and obviously I hope justice is served to its full extent, but. That's kind of where I'm at, but I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not taking much Browns action because even if he's out 4 to 6 games, that could be a tough, because it's going to be a really tough AFC and tough AFC North. So I don't have super strong thoughts about what I think is going to happen. I hope it's at least half the year, if not beyond. And then you're stuck with Jacoby Brissett in the interim, which I'm sure you have stronger thoughts about him than I do. So I've got some strong thoughts about that division. But it obviously that's a gigantic question mark, because if it in a perfect world for the success of the Browns, things could work out for them and the season could go well from a win standpoint, or obviously if he doesn't play much, then it could be a total nightmare. So I'm kind of just staying away from any type of whether it's over 9.5 wins or not. I'd honestly lean towards the under, because I would expect him to miss 4 to 6 games at least. So but not really planning on betting on that, and maybe he's only out for 4 weeks and they tread water for 4 weeks. I'm not sure. I know, if I'm not mistaken, I think their schedule is pretty tough to start the season, but either way, I'm staying away from Browns action for the most part here.
I tried to correlate Trevor Bauer, where the MLB says 2 years, come fight us. Yeah. You're not playing.
Right.
And then he could say, all right, well, we're going to cut it in half to 1 year. And then Bauer says, okay, well, I didn't play last year. Well, you also got paid for last year. Yeah. Okay, you're not playing, and Bernie Fratto has come on our show and clearly stated the Dodgers names in the arena, never mind the state probably, and they own the rights. Pal, if they had to pay him for a half year, you're not pitching. And I can't see any teams lining up. I know how good of a pitcher he was. It will be now 2 to maybe 3 years since he's pitched, but I'm not trying to compare apples and oranges here.
No.
MLB made a statement, you're out. And now
Right.
I just can't see the NFL just saying, oh, by the way, we're going to give you 6 and you can appeal. And then, okay, only 4 games, Deshaun.
Right. No, I think you're right on, spot on. Like you said, it's not apples to oranges. And as far as those teams are concerned, obviously the Dodgers had, the guy on his team and felt like they, had the means to, push him out for a long time, whereas the Browns made their bed and are sleeping in it right now. So, yeah, I hope the NFL is aggressive with it, but yeah, I don't know what to expect. I got to eat my words as far as the early parts of the Browns schedule is actually not very hard at all. So they might be able to tread water, and that's probably why you're seeing the win total. Panthers to open up, Jets, Steelers, Falcons are their first 4. So one way or another, they could scrounge up a couple wins out of those first 4 games, no matter who's at quarterback. I'm not writing them off in those games there. So yeah, interested to see there. But nonetheless, as far as that division's concerned, I like what the Bengals did with their offensive line and the Ravens with their extra health. I even if Deshaun Watson is 100% healthy, I still really like those 2 teams compared to a team that's going to be chemistry building with the new quarterback. So interested to see what we'll get. And yeah, obviously, like I said, hopefully justice is served to the fullest extent on this whole situation here.
So you got Juan Soto plus 185 to make the finals.
Yep.
I'll sprinkle in. I'll piggyback off you a little beer and pizza money on that exactor in the finals of Alonso and Soto. Anyone watching and listening, listen. Alonso is made for this. If you can get 2 to 1 and you got to scratch an itch, throw some beer and pizza money. I'll take the Alonso. I mean, Schwarber obviously. And put it this way: if Schwarber somehow beats Alonso, go against Schwarber in the last round because he will be out of gas.
Well, they'll meet in the final. I got the bracket right in front of me. It would be Schwarber Alonso in the final. So Schwarber's got Pujols in the first round, and he maybe he puts on a dazzling show. And I guess we can change the question up a little bit. I think it was most home runs hit in the first round or something like that. Which that one is definitely more of a toss up, and maybe Schwarber's got the juice in that one, and maybe he puts on a show there. I'm trying to find the odds on that one, but yeah, it would be if it's going to be Schwarber versus Pujols, and then if he wins that one, he'll face Soto or Jose Ramirez would be the next round for Schwarber there.
All right, so I'm going to put the flag down on Alonso for the 3-peat. You got Soto versus Alonso there, so we'll wrap that up there. Furthermore, this week, guys, I will post on our timeline the upcoming shows. I know Wednesday, Andrew McGinnis will be back at 1 o'clock. We'll be talking CFL. On Friday, finally, we'll get back to some Premier Lacrosse with Dan Alexander. Myself and Riley will do maybe some breakfast bankroll shows at the middle of the week. We'll figure that one out. Closing Bell will be with Scotty on Thursday and Friday. So it's that 1 week where I don't want to call it vacation week, but we're going to try to transition it into some football, some NFL, some college football. We'll start breaking down some teams, some conferences, some under-overs, potential Heismans, yada, yada, yada. We got about 6 weeks till kickoff there. So if you're not following Riley, follow him because he's got the countdown for us.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, some of those days, man, I have some days where I'll have I'll find somebody that I want to talk about, and I'll find a nice number. This guy's 36. Let me make a note. Some days I'm searching for a solid hour because I can't find a damn stat or a number on one of these guys. But it's been fun. I enjoy reminiscing, and typically it's whatever fan base has their players coming on over and getting some interaction out of it. So it's been fun and going down memory lane as far as typically the last 20 years of some of my favorite players, but sometimes I'll go a little deeper than that. But yeah, it's been a hell of a run as far as that's concerned, and I'm juiced for college football and NFL to the 100th degree. I cannot wait, my friend.
For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed day. It's kind of an off week. Thursday there is 6 games, so we'll be back on those 6 games, and then obviously a card, excuse me, for the weekend. But this is kind of a reset for everyone here. Meaning, guys, take a look at your bankroll. You're at the halfway point. How you sitting? Hopefully, if you're an ECSI VIP, you just cash your 19-1 Cam Smith ticket, and you're feeling pretty good right now. And the bankroll looks nice and healthy. You might want to try to be super dad or super mom this week and spend a little more time with that family. Don't have to worry about checking the scores too often, at least until Thursday. So wish everyone follow us on our timelines, and always remember this. If you are wagering or investing today, tomorrow, or anytime this week, please do it responsibly. If you do have a problem, pick up the phone, ask for help. Why? Myself and Riley care. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone here a great, great day, a better week, and we will see you soon.